in a bad place when the person making the most sense is the loud black woman.
Okay, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I think Tish Hyman, who is the woman that lost it at Gold's Gym, is being used by the TERF movement.
Senator Wiener, as the only black lesbian here, can I please ask you a question because I flew here to do that?
Starting off with identity politics, as the only black lesbian here, and I know a lot of you are gonna say, well, the left works off of that. I get that the left works off of that, but let's all stop acting like we're above it on the right if when it's convenient, we're gonna have our people open up with, as the only black lesbian here. Trans is a special category that you don't want being recognized.
Stop giving special categories to certain men. They aren't special. They're just men with long hair that like makeup.
But a black lesbian, suddenly then, yeah, let's hear more of that.
Okay. As a lesbian woman.
Didn't you already say you're a black lesbian? Now you've got to open up with as a lesbian woman. How many ways are we going to drive this home, Tish?
Who was attacked in the women's locker room at Gold's Gym this week.
Were you attacked? Because I don't remember you describing it as an attack at any point. I don't remember you describing it as an attack. It wasn't described as an attack on TMZ. Nowhere was it described as an attack. Now all of a sudden it's an attack. Losing credibility. Hate to say it. Have your feelings.
By a self-identifying trans woman with a documented history of domestic. I'm deeply concerned about women's safety in female-only spaces. What would you say to women who are seeking assurance that their safety will be protected from men who, by California law, can self-ID as women in women-only spaces, sir? Please tell me.
I don't buy the crocodile tears and the crybaby voice. I don't buy it. I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't buy it. Please tell me, sir. Please tell me. I thought you were a rapper, not an actor. You're from the Bronx.
Yeah, so we want, everyone to be safe, and we also know that, we have trans people, both men and women, who are men and women, and so, so if you're trans women are women.
Senator, you've done great things with the bills you've passed with the housing. I've read a lot of your bills, and like you said, there are bills that need to be opened up, and I'm telling you now, millions of women across America are being harassed and sexually assaulted in locker rooms.
Is that really true? Are millions of women being harassed and sexually assaulted in public bathrooms and locker rooms? Is that an actual stat? And keep in mind, I'm not against you. I'm on your guys' side on a lot of things, but I don't think incorrect stats are the way to get this done. Now, if you want to say that one is too many, I can agree with that, but you can't exaggerate to millions if that's not actually happening, because that's a good way for people to shoot down what it is you want.
I'm a lesbian black woman, I'm not transphobic, I'm not homophobic, and I do respect a lot of the things you've done, but I do see a lot of these bills that you've passed that are dangerous for women and young children, and I understand that you're trying to be on a level playing field, and I'm here to represent my community, because I hear a lot of things about my community in these bills, and I'm telling you as a woman, first and foremost, that this is dangerous, and we need your help, because you're in the office, you're going to go in the Polisky spot.
Did you mean Nancy Pelosi? Because I don't know who Polisky is. And I'm not joking, but we didn't study hard enough to know that that's Pelosi.
I want to support you. I have millions of people behind me watching this right now. And we want to know, are you going to protect women? Not trans women? Women, trans women are different things. Women. Listen, we need to protect women's safety. I was assaulted.
Women are women.
See, now she's changing it to she was assaulted. And I could tell you honestly, that's the way TERFs want you to talk, is when you're saying that women and trans women are different. And it's accurate. It's true. But the way I would honestly have somebody say this, and this is just if you're going to be in that realm, this isn't like me trying to police anybody's speech, which is one thing a lot of people don't get about me, is I'm not trying to police your speech because I think there's a way that you should say things that's right. But I know that if you're going to deal with these type of people, which is San Francisco gays, that's where Scott Wiener is. He's a senator and he's in San Francisco. So if you're going to be dealing with the San Francisco types, it's a historically gay city. That's what San Francisco is known for. It's a lot of gay history there. So if you're going to talk to them, you don't say things like trans women aren't women or anything like that. What you say is that women have unique needs to what trans people have. And that's a way you could say it without offending anybody, but you're going to catch that, and there's no way to stop an entire city from reacting the way that they're going to react. That's just what's going to happen when you're in that kind of city. That's like going to Portland or Seattle and thinking that you're just going to say things a particular way and then being like, well, why are people booing me, or why are people having this reaction to me? It's because you're not respecting the way that their city sees things. So you can do things like that or say things like that. 100% it's your right as an American. But if you're trying to get something done, that's probably not the smartest way.
I was assaulted. No, they are not. They are men. I was assaulted by men. He broke his wife's jaw so bad she needed reconstructive surgery. I'm a lesbian. I'm not transphobic, and I'm black. So if there's another black woman in here who wants to tell me how they feel, please join in. But all of you are not. And I don't know who you are, what you are, but I'm a lesbian, and I'm telling you right now, men are harassing women in the locker room.
Let's let him answer the question.
She really had to drive home that she's black, and you can tell she's from the left. These are the left's tactics. I'm telling you, it's going to make a lot of people get turned off to Tish. You guys can argue with me if you want to, or say whatever excuse you want, but it's going to turn a lot of people on the right off, because that's what people don't want to hear. You think that that eventually isn't going to spill over into just regular, and thinking that now the right is going to be the left, and because a Black Lesbian has spoken, that everybody's going to shut up? That's not going to be the way it works on the right. I guarantee you that.
I'm just telling you, since y'all want to woo.
No, just let's.
Now I'm done. And by the way, I respect what you have done. I just want to let you know that.
Let's give the senator the opportunity.
I'm done.
I appreciate your point of view.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry that you were harassed,
Multiple times.
and I appreciate you talking about it. I think we need to protect the safety of all women, and that obviously that's incredibly important. And I also know that trans women are also brutalized in this country. So women and cisgender women are brutalized in this country, and we have to protect the safety of all women.
We have to protect women. We cannot be in the bathrooms by men that want to say they're women. They're not women. They're not women. I'm leaving. It's okay, but I'm not going to take it. I am leaving because you know what? You guys are not protecting women. You're doing a lot. The bills that you're passing for the law, I read a lot of them. They're great. But this things with the trans, it's not right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And my name is Tish Hyman. You heard me, sister? All right. Don't let them use our blackness and our civil rights as a reason to pass weird laws for children to transform. It's wrong. My sister's in jail. She can't get free tampons or soap, but she can get free transformation medication. Big Pharma is best. Tired of it.
Yeah, Scott.
Well, things were going so smoothly.
Well, I guess some people use white privilege and some people use black fatigue. Either way, it's identity politics. What's up, everybody? Ty Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. All right, so I know some of you, if you're on X, have seen me getting into it with the TERFs, and that's just because I think that this entire Tish Hyman situation is being completely mishandled. I think it's coming off a lot like brainwashing by the TERFs.
And I know that's hard for you to kind of process or really come to terms with, because it sounds so outrageous and you want to hold out and see the good in people, but that is actually the truth.
And understand that when I say TERFs, I don't mean people that the internet has decided are TERFs, and I'll repeat it in every video that I talk about TERFs or I make references to TERFs, because I know a lot of you don't actually know me. When I say a TERF, I don't mean just a person that the left has branded as a TERF because they said something that was considered to be anti-trans. When I say TERF, I mean somebody that actually identifies as a TERF. And I'm gonna be real honest with you guys when I say that for the last 2 nights, I have been going at it with the TERFs on X. And the reason is, originally Tish was bringing across the right message. And I don't say the right message as far as I go, but just with this kind of thing, because you're dealing with actual human beings. And when you're dealing with actual human beings, no matter which group you're dealing with, I don't care if you're talking about a group from a gender.
And all men, regardless of how well they perform a stereotype of femininity, are still men and still a risk to women.
I don't care if you're talking about a group from a sexual orientation. I don't care if you're talking about a group from a race. I don't care if you're talking about a mental illness. Let's throw that in too. When you're dealing with human beings, you cannot say all of one group is one particular thing, because that's never going to be true. And if you ever want to make yourself seem illogical, then go ahead and blanket and make it seem like any one group is any particular way. And that includes trans people. And so when I'm talking about the TERFs, I am definitely referring to a particular group. And in the TERF group, just like I said, not all are one way. There are very reasonable people that identify as TERFs. There are people that are kind of on the extreme side, but not completely lost it. And then there is truly unhinged. And that's what we all need to actually get rid of or very closely monitor. And I mean from every group. And that's why you see me doing it with gay and trans, because those are my groups. You also see me doing it with Latino. Those are my groups. And so I'm very good about self-policing. Other people may not join in, I get that. But as long as you're doing your part of the solution and not part of the problem. Where I have noticed that TERFs have this idea that they can't actually speak out against each other because then they're betraying the entire movement. And that's how your movement will fall to shit. Because what happened was, Tish was saying the other night that she has a sister that is trans.
My little fucking sister is transsexual.
And I didn't know what she meant at first, because if you say a sister that is trans, if you're respecting the pronouns, respecting the trans, then that would technically be your brother, biologically, let's say. But if you're still going by what you know them as, what you grew up with them as, which would be their biological sex, then that would be your sister who's transitioning to be male or present as male. And I'm gonna count on you guys, because I don't wanna have to explain everything. I'm gonna count on you guys to actually know what I'm talking about. You know the way that I think. I've always told you guys, trans women are not women, trans men are not men. So if at any point I mess that up in this video and just say it shorthand because I'm just trying to get a point across, please understand. I'm just not gonna correct myself through the whole video, because I have a lot of thoughts on this situation. And the reason that I say Trish was coming at the right way was because originally she was like, I know there are transsexual people that do not want to make a problem for anybody. You're just trying to live your lives.
This message is for the genuine trans women out there. I know that not all trans women hate women or are misogynist. You guys are living your life and just trying to do what makes you happy.
Basically copying to the fact that the guy that she encountered at Gold's Gym isn't every trans person. Which I know there are people that feel like every trans person is paraphilic. Every trans person is doing it for some sort of gratification or to bully women. That's just not true. So Tish was being very clear about that, which is a smart move, because if you're going to try to introduce any kind of legislation, it cannot come off as discriminatory. I don't know how many ways to tell people that, but it's like you're dealing with a bunch of emotional people that are trying to be like, and I'm tired of hearing this. I'm gonna be real honest, when it comes to the TERFs, I'm real tired of hearing, well, we're just mad. We are just exhausted. Everybody's exhausted. Everybody's mad. Everybody's been through a lot. On any side of the spectrum, in any argument. It's what it is. I know people would like to think men just have it perfect. Gay men have it perfect. White women have it perfect. Nobody has it perfect. So stop using the fact that you're exhausted. Sorry you had to come out of the kitchen to keep men out of the women's bathroom. And I'm gonna be real honest in the way that I communicate in this one, because I'm tired of a lot of people talking a lot of shit to me online, where I'm feeling like, obviously I respect that you're a woman, or I would talk to you a whole different way. Really, I'm showing restraint, because if I was talking to another man, I would go at it a whole different way. And that's what a lot of these TERFs aren't getting, is you mistake yourself for being extra tough women, when really that's not what it is at all. It's only the fact that you're a woman that lets you feel tough, because if you're a man, you would have got punched in the face by somebody by now, and you would know not to talk that way to other people because they might catch up with you in real life. That's the reality of what being a man is. That's why if you notice, men usually will keep it somewhat respectful of each other, unless one really knows that they can whoop the other one's ass. That's the reality of being a man. And I'm tired of women on X trying to tell me what a man is. You can't tell me what a man is. The same way I'm not telling you what a woman is, you can't tell me what a man is. That's the way it works. You can't come to me and be like, you can't tell me what a woman is because you're not a woman. And then be like, a real man does this, a man does that. You don't know. And most of you, what you consider a man is not really a man. It's a beta or a bootlicker that's just trying to make you happy because they're hoping that they can get some. That's what a lot of you consider a man. He listens to everything I say. He does whatever we tell him. I'll tell you, like I mentioned with Menno, and I will do that video. I promise I will do that video. But like I mentioned with Menno, most of the guys that really simp for TERFs or simp for women in general, if they're not trying to get some, it's because they want to be one of you. So that's what the deal is with these men that are always co-signing to every single thing you say. They're either handpicked by a woman at home, they're trying to get a woman right now, or they want to be one of the girls. That's who only agrees with you. Because part of being a real man is every once in a while, when you're in the process of protecting women, you have to inject some reason. Because if we're being honest and we're living up to stereotypes, as people love to remind me that I am a typical male, I'm misogynistic is what I am. No, I'm real is what I am. But real men don't worry about misogyny. Like when you're like, you're misogynistic, any real man's like, that word means absolutely nothing. That's just your way of being manipulative and trying to win this argument. That's all misogyny is. It's an excuse for you to lack accountability and blame it on the fact that I must be some sort of chauvinist in order to hold you accountable like I would any other person. You called me ugly, so I let you know that you were fat and ugly. I saw you're ugly and I raised you a fat because you were. And then you fall to, you're a misogynist, bringing up a woman's weight, bringing up the woman's... Okay, well, when you brought up my looks, it wasn't a problem. But a part of your looks is not only you being ugly, but you being fat too. So how is it I'm a terrible thing and you're what? A pleasant woman in society? I don't think so. I'm gonna meet you with the same energy you come at me with. And I don't care what you are. And that's equality is what that is. That's equality. When somebody treats you the same way that they treat everyone else, that's equality. So what I was saying was, when it comes to Tish, people want to hear me. I'll tell you exactly where I'm at on everything and will not pull any punches. I will edit as little as possible out of this video just so people can know exactly where I'm at. Because I'll tell you, yeah, I want to grow my following, which like, comment, and subscribe. But I want to grow my following, but I will not pretend to be something that I'm not in order to gain that following. I would rather take longer and have people that really know what and who I am follow me than a bunch of people that have an idea of what I am and it's only one side just to have followers. That's not what I want to be. That's not what I want to do. That's not how I've lived my life. I don't want to be inauthentic about any of what I am. And especially not here on YouTube, because I plan to be on this platform for as long as this platform is a thing. So I might as well set up now who I actually am. So what I was trying to get at is, Tish is coming at it the right way because it comes off as non-discriminatory when you're like, yeah, I realize that this is a thing, even if you consider it a mental issue or a mental condition, which I think anybody reasonable can agree that's what it is. Like all the fake trans, that needs to be addressed for sure. And that's what the problem is in the bathroom. And that's where I think that it should be kept to, is like, yes, allowing these particular people in, which would be the actual transsexuals, can make problems for these people trying to get in. And so there needs to be some sort of solution for that. And so what Trish was saying was that transsexual should be the actual term and that they should have their own spaces. She didn't say transsexual woman. She didn't say transsexual man. She just suggested third spaces for transsexual people. Do you know that the TERFs came down on Tish?
And there is a very good reason why we are the way that we are, and that we say, no, we're not going to call them transsexuals, we're not going to call them XYZ, because that makes a special subcategory, and that doesn't work.
And really came after her hard.
And there is a reason why we don't compromise. There is a reason why we don't say, oh, let's make a transsexual space. We had that argument 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe even a decade ago.
Their hero.
And I have so much admiration for Tish for raising her voice, raising her concerns, and kicking up a fuss the way that she did.
They're golden girl. But really, they don't care about her. They just care about the fact that she's black and lesbian And she's a hell of a tool to use against the left because she hits two of their marginalized categories that would really help them out in this battle. And so they've got to make sure that she understands that you cannot say these words.
And I would recommend to actually maybe sit and process what has actually happened to you rather than getting online and demanding certain things of women who've been here a long time and far longer than you, who know things, and maybe just read and listen. Because it is difficult, but to turn around and demand things of us is crazy.
And I also blame Tish, to be 100% honest, because Tish is trying to sell albums and she sees the TERFs as her way to get there. And I know some people are going to get mad at me about that, but do you know that Tish was friends with Rigo the Star, the guy that makes a lot of the videos that people watch on social media where he's like, you may not like the truth, but I'll never tell a lie.
You might not like the truth, but I'll never tell a lie.
But yeah, that's one of his friends. Doesn't it seem like a huge coincidence? And I'm not saying that Tish set this up to happen, but doesn't it seem like a huge coincidence that Rigo and Tish were friends? Tish has this incident happen, turns it into a viral moment. I still don't know who was recording that video for Tish, but it was shot good enough. The person seemed to be getting all the angles. That's what I'd really want to know, is who recorded this video. Because to me, it seems sort of like she set herself up to be in the perfect position to have this viral moment. But once you say something the TERFs don't like, or in a way that the TERFs don't like, the TERFs come down on you. There was a point where Tish said that, it had been a rough couple of days and she's doing a lot of studying. Studying for what? Are you joining a cult? Oh yeah, you are. The TERFs are a cult.
We're so glad to have you.
That's the problem. That's the thing. That's why they can't speak out against each other, but it's starting to fracture. And they don't want to believe me because I tried to warn them, and this is why they got pissed off at me, is because I tweeted about the fact that the way that they were grilling Tish isn't a good look. And it's going to be their downfall because while they think they have this unicorn in a Black Lesbian to really beat the libs, what they're going to find is that a Black lesbian is always going to have a mind of their own. No matter how much you really try to get in there and tell them what they're going to do, they're going to be able to do it to a certain point, but eventually they're going to be themselves because that's the way most people of color are built. So while you may for a while be able to control this thing and use it as your bulldozer, your land mover, what's eventually going to happen is Tish is going to get tired of all this and Tish is going to be Tish, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but for right now, Tish is still playing ball. And so this one chick even made a video where this chick's trying to act like she knows everything about trans, right? She was like, I joined this movement after being on the other side, which means from the left, which is the problem. People from the left coming to the right and bringing their shitty ways with them. It's like when people move to Texas from California and then vote like they're in California. Well, why are you trying to turn this into what you left? But this woman's like...
From a person who has been in this discussion for 6 to 7 years.
6 or 7 years? Wow, 6 or 7 years?
I was very much the other side of the argument when I was a teenager.
She's been on this side for 6 or 7 years, so you're maybe between 25 and 30 at the oldest. I'm supposed to listen to you about what? Can we be for real, please? Tell us about the good old days, Grandma. Did Marsha P. Johnson really throw the first brick at Stonewall? Trick question. There actually were no bricks, and Marsha P. Johnson didn't get there until well after the Stonewall riots had started. Actually, as Marsha put it, she got there 2 a.m. and everything was already on fire. Conveniently enough, this idiot does bring up Marsha P. Johnson.
Marsha P. Johnson, aka Malcolm Michaels, himself has said in videos that he was not a woman. He didn't identify as a trans woman or a transsexual. He was a drag queen.
Because she brings up...
The T has always been part of LGBT. That is simply not true.
Actually, it has. That's what a lot of these idiots don't get. That's why I get tired of the LGBT Alliance and other groups like that. Like, here's the deal. If you guys want to tell me something that I don't know, tell me something that I don't know. But don't try to correct me on my own history. It's very insulting. Gay history is something I actually pay attention to, unfortunately for all of us. And so when I tell you that the T has always been part of the LGBTQ community. The Q has always been off the side. The T has always been on the periphery, but it has been there. Now, have we always been a team like that? No, not necessarily. But has it always been a part of the same community? Yes, it was, because we were all considered freaks back in the day. And so we all used to congregate at the same places. The T has always chosen to be separate, but the T has always been helpful to the community. I'll explain in another video, but for now, you're just gonna have to trust me. So when people say that, it's not true. Just like when the trans community says that we wouldn't have our rights if it wasn't for the trans community, that's not true either. Neither are true. It's not that the T had nothing to do with it, and it's not that the T was the driving force and the reason things were happening. Neither are true.
So those falsehoods that the community rely on are complete falsehoods. And that is very difficult to accept when that is the lie that you have been fed for so long and you have fought for.
The B was highly disputed. While we're giving actual history, the B has been highly disputed for a long time, because gays and lesbians thought that bi people should pick a side, and because they couldn't pick a side, they weren't considered to be valid in the community. So when everybody's saying the L, the G, and the B, no, that's not the way it went. And the G used to be first. The lesbians earned getting the first spot because they were so helpful during the AIDS crisis. So the lesbians definitely did earn. But if you're gonna talk about what it really was, and really it was all G was what it was. It was all gay. So please stop spreading misinformation and understand that if you're going to do that, at least be accurate about it and talk about how bisexual wasn't even accepted. Is that part of conspiracy too? But then this idiot says,
and he wasn't there the day that Stonewall happened.
Okay, you're an idiot. He wasn't there when Stonewall started, but he did get there a couple hours after. I swear, this woman's an idiot. She ended up taking this video down, and she says it's because people were saying that she was racist. I don't think it's because she was racist. I think because she realized it was basically looking like you brainwashing somebody in real time. Like being like, this is what you're gonna say. This is the way you're gonna say it. This is the only message we carry. This is why we carry that message. And then intersplicing misinformation.
I understand. But when you are new to this, all I can recommend is to listen.
Don't believe their lies, believe my lies.
And to learn and to research.
Well, if you had researched, I don't think that you would be spreading misinformation right now, if I'm being honest. I don't think that we would be having this conversation if you did research. And you proved my point. Because what I'm saying about these people like this lady, is that most of them had no point when they were on the left and no basis for the things they were saying when they were on the left. It was just the popular thing to say. And now that they've come over to the right, again, they don't know what they're talking about. It's just the popular thing to say now. Or else you would know the history of what you're talking about and try to be like, as a fellow lesbian.
From one lesbian to another.
The fact that you're a lesbian doesn't matter. That doesn't mean you know the history, bitch. I'm sorry. And I know some people have gotten mad at me on X because I say bitch all the time, or I'll refer to some of these TERFs as lonely bitches. I don't care. That's the way I talk. That's the way I've always talked. I'm not gonna stop talking the way I talk because you have feelings about it. I got my two gay besties, Derequisha and Thomasina. I call them bitches all day long. I constantly message them, through with you bitches. When they send me a ridiculous meme or a reel that's gayer than I'm ready for at that part of the day, I'll send them back a sick of you bitches. So anyway, these people don't know what they're talking about. And they don't understand that when you do this kind of thing and we all see it, we're like, okay, why are we watching this woman, Tish, be indoctrinated when she actually has a good idea? Because what I was saying about if legislation isn't going to do it. And I said in the last video, and some people are so thick and full of what only they're thinking of that they can't think about what will actually help. Because to get back to the if women's safety is at the top of the list, if that's what we're really worried about is women's safety. And like I said in the last video, that some people really didn't understand apparently, is that if trans women, or if you want to call them transsexuals, trans-identifying males, whatever you would say in your head, but I say trans women. If trans women were to say, hey, we too want third spaces, and that could help you get your own spaces back, then why would you not take that compromise? And the reason you'll hear from the TERFs is, tell me this isn't trying to take control and tell somebody what they are and show that you can make somebody grovel. What the TERFs will say in return is, you're a man, you're fine going into the men's bathroom.
Men are men and women are women.
Now, I've told other men, and I really do feel that for the most part, trans women would be safe in the men's bathroom. But I also know that every once in a while, a straight guy will get very, very threatening with a trans woman. I've seen people personally try to bully trans people. I've stood up for trans people in those situations. Me personally, put myself in the way because sometimes straight men try to scare trans women, try to bully them. And yes, that does happen in adulthood.
That doesn't mean that they need a third space. They don't want a third space.
So trans women at the very least need third spaces. I've already addressed with trans men, we the men don't usually mind having them in our spaces. And I don't know a man that's going to make a big deal of that. We usually don't pay attention to other guys that way. That's a part of like guy code in the bathrooms, is you really don't pay attention to other guys in the bathroom. So we don't mind having the trans men, who are technically females, in the bathroom with us. With women, it's different. Trans women seem to be the only ones that would need their own space. And so if in the States, especially the states where the law is against you ladies, and trans women were willing to say, we will request our own third spaces, then to me, it would make sense. If it's really about safety, not if it's about what you think somebody should identify as, how you think somebody should live their life, what your psychology degree dictates. Because I noticed there's a lot of that too. I read books like this chick. You're going to read a lot of stuff. You're not going to believe what you're reading.
When you are brand new to this, you are going to be bombarded with information that you don't want to accept. That is incredible, unbelievable, and like highly unbelievable, half of it, because oh my god, how could that possibly be happening? And I understand that it's extremely overwhelming, and it is likely shattering your worldview of what you had previously.
It's not the Men in Black. It's not like she's learning about UFOs and aliens.
Because it takes time to kind of fully digest what you are experiencing.
It's trans women. When it comes down to it, it's really not that sophisticated. And the people, the idiots that are like, you actually believe in true trans. You actually believe in true trans. Yeah, I do believe that transsexuals are a thing, because that's gender dysphoria, mental disorder. So are you gonna make fun of me for believing in bipolar too? Are you gonna make fun of me for believing schizophrenia is a thing? What other witchcraft am I guilty of buying into because I believe in a mental disorder that was in the DSM? I think it's still in the DSM. It's just been downgraded from being an actual mental disorder and is considered a mental condition or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it's still in the DSM, Diagnostic Statistical Manual. But yeah, so you're making fun of me because I believe that a mental condition actually exists? What kind of idiot are you? And I'm supposed to take you seriously as you're like, you believe in true trans. You believe in true trans. You believe in being a TERF, which isn't a thing and should be listed as a mental condition. Lonely hands. If you all had men, maybe you wouldn't spend all your time. I told one chick on X, I said, if you spent a little less time concentrating on the men that want to wear dresses and more time concentrating on the ones that want to get into your dress, you might actually have a man. And they went in and gone on Tish and let her know that she shouldn't be at all willing to compromise with trans people, even if it's for third spaces, which supposedly would be the most safe option for women, would be if trans people had a third space. But you can't compromise on that if it means that trans people are willing to say they want third spaces as well, and then you get your third spaces. You can't do that. And what I was saying is I saw some people in my comments on the last video that I talked about this being like, yeah, we're done compromising. Okay, Well, then enjoy getting kicked out of your own bathrooms by trans women. Because in those states, that's what's going to happen. And if you say we're going to vote other people in, when are midterms? When are you going to be able to vote these other people in? And what are the odds that you're going to be able to flip these states? Because what's going to happen is some of you are being so unreasonable and so mean online, and people are seeing that they're going to decide that they don't want to see trans people get bullied like that, and that's going to turn them on you. That's what's going to happen. Don't believe me? Go ahead and do it. Test it. Just like the trans people did when I was having these same conversations with them through my channel and different social media platforms. I was letting them know too. I was telling them, this is not going to turn out well for you guys. And now look at what's happening to them. Well, the same way that happened to them, it's going to happen to you, but it's going to happen even quicker. Because you know what? Trans women, to some people, look like women, but they still think like men. So what's going to happen is they're going to outsmart you because you're acting on emotions and they're calculating. Mentally, you're right. They're still men. You want to get outsmarted out of your own spaces? Keep playing it the way you're playing it. Because, like, here's one. Let me give you an example. This trans woman put, did you miss the transsexuals who extended our hands in support to Tish with us saying we want to work together with women to get our own spaces when she spit in our faces less than 24 hours later when white women initiated her into their club? One man chimes in with, how? If this dude is a trans woman... can't even spell the singular of woman, which I see all the time. Dumbest people in the world. If this dude is a trans woman, then how could she be safe from him if he's allowed to go anywhere she is? Serious question. What did you think third spaces meant? That meant not being in the women's room. That meant, as if you don't know what third spaces mean, first off, you shouldn't be in the conversation. But I realize you're gonna, so I'll explain it to you. Third spaces, there's a men's locker room, there's a women's locker room, then there's a third space for trans people. So they don't have to go into the women's and they don't have to go into the men's. Third space. Now learn that the singular of women is woman. But that one wasn't a terrible response. Let me read you another response. So now this is a race issue. Perhaps that's your problem. With attitudes like that, no wonder. No, actually, Tish is the one that brought up several times that she's a black lesbian. She's brought it up several times throughout her videos. So don't try to make it seem like anybody's making this any kind of race issue. Other than Tish and the TERFs. The TERFs are loving to bring it up too. You mean you're taking a black lesbian out of women's spaces? I thought you all loved black lesbians. You mean Tish is a black lesbian. It's the most important thing to you. Because if you're a white woman, you're going to get called a Karen. And you know that. So... you're going at it that it's a black lesbian. But let's agree, we all definitely do know that that factors in. So let's not make it seem like this trans person just brought this up out of nowhere. No, Tish said it several times before she removed herself from the meeting with, or from the town hall with Scott Wiener. Even though later on, one of the TERFs reported it as she got tossed out. No, she chose to leave. She didn't get tossed out. She chose to leave. Let's all stop playing with each other, please. And Tish even misrepresenting. She didn't get attacked in a women's bathroom. And I don't even know that the guy was necessarily leering at her because that's not the way she painted it. I'm not victim blaming, but I'm just saying from the way she said it the first time, it wasn't that he was leering at her. He was just standing behind her, which I've been in that awkward position in the men's locker room with another man that I wasn't at all attracted to. I wasn't trying to creep on him. Nothing like that. You ask any guy that goes to the gym, we are more likely to get undressed because some of us will take showers at the gym. I know there was a point when almost every shower I took was at the gym because I was living in LA and it was so far to get to my place and I could just take a shower real quick at the gym and then go straight to, because I worked out in Hollywood. That was the gym, the best gym that was closest to me, that had the most stuff. I was able to get what I needed done. And then I could just head, because it was in Hollywood and West Hollywood's right there, I could just head right over to the Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store, wherever I was performing. So almost all of my showers at a point were at the gym. And so sometimes you'll have all your stuff or you'll have just gotten out of the shower and you're just standing behind the other person because they're in the locker beneath you or they're in the locker right next to you and you're just letting them finish up what they have to do real quick, take a second, before you can get to your actual locker. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to bombard them. You don't want to rush them or hover. And sometimes they don't even notice you're behind them. And so you're just standing there waiting. That could have been what happened with the guy, Alexis. I don't remember his guy name or whatever. And I'm not making excuses for him, but like the way Tish originally said it wasn't like he was just staring at her. It was just like she was uncomfortable with him there. And I'm not discounting that, but that is not an attack. When you say a person attacked you, a person standing behind you isn't an attack. Otherwise, we're all getting attacked every time we stand in a line. The other day, what was I doing the other day? I was somewhere buying something or getting something, and there was a woman right behind me, and it was a black woman. Not that that matters, but I do remember because it was like, you know, it was that feeling like you look behind you and you really capture who's behind you, because she was standing literally right behind me, and I just felt like, why is this woman on me? Did I buy a parrot? Why is somebody on my shoulder? It was very annoying, unusually close, uncomfortably close, but she didn't attack me. So when Tish says that she got attacked, you didn't get attacked. That's not what it is. And so this woman that made this video was like telling Tish why you can't compromise and you're gonna see things that you won't believe and whatever else. Yeah, not that deep, sister. Not actual transsexuals. I know there's autogynephiles and all that stuff, but maybe if you didn't think about that stuff, how is it I've been out and in the community for 30 years, hanging out with trans people specifically, 30 years, and I haven't seen the amount of depravity that the TERFs talk about? Maybe it's because you're always reading books about it. You're studying it all the time. You're always looking for it. You're following sites that just keep posting it day and night. So it feels like it's always happening all the time, but really, it's not the epidemic you're making it sound like. Yes, it is something serious. Yes, we should pay attention to it. Yes, I do highlight it on my channel because I think it is important. I think it is something that needs to be worked on. But at the same time, ask yourselves at home right now, people watching, and you can comment down below honestly. How many times have you had being honest, not making up stories, because I see some people make up stories that are fantastical. It's like, I don't know if you're J.K. Rowling right now because this sounds borderline Harry Potter. It doesn't sound like a believable story. I'm gonna tell you, I don't believe all the bullshit I hear people saying online. I just don't. Like, I get it. There are some stories, I'm real good at that part, where there's some stories where it's like, yeah, that definitely did happen. And then some stories it's like, you're lying. It's made up. That's not a thing. But be honest in the comments. Tell me how many encounters you've had in a women's bathroom or a women's locker room with a trans person that you knew was a trans person. You saw the penis, or there was some way that you actually knew, not you suspected, because there's a lot of manly looking women in the world. And yeah, you're gonna have to accept that at some point. It's its own thing. And that's the other thing you gotta understand. People that are truly from the right, they're gonna shut you down. Eventually they're gonna turn on you too, because they're gonna be like, no, this is that bullshit that we didn't want from the left. This is cancel culture again. Like when I have TERFs telling me that I'm mansplaining, when I'm just saying things that are very basic and just trying to put facts out there, that's where you'll lose people. Because people will be like, mansplaining? When did we turn into the left? And yeah, you're gonna have to accept that at some point. I saw the video of her saying, I don't care about politics. You better start caring about politics, because you're gonna have to vote right if you actually want to get women's spaces back. You're gonna have to flip some states. And that's what a lot of these TERFs aren't understanding, that I'm trying to explain to them, is that people are seeing you behave this way online, and it's gonna turn them off to your causes. Pretty soon you're gonna be dismissed as nagging women. You wanna talk about misogyny? Wait until that happens. Wait until people start being like, oh yeah, those crazy bitches that are always nagging about something that we don't care about anymore. Because that's what's going to happen, is nobody's going to care at a point. That's how it got to this point, is nobody cared. You think people can't go back to not caring? It's easier to not care than it is to care. And I know some people are going to be like, well, if you don't believe in protecting women. No, I don't believe in supporting assholes. So if you start acting like an asshole, I'm going to tell you the truth. My mother and my sisters, my nieces, they're going to be fine. I 100% trust in that. I trust in God, and I trust in the fact that they'll be fine. So do I care about what happens to you to a point where if you're acting like an asshole to me, I'm still going to be on your side? No, I will not. I'll be honest about that. 100% honest. Not going to lie, not going to sugarcoat it. Start acting like an asshole, I'm done with you. And I know that there are some TERFs out there that are like, gay men are the most misogynistic and they don't ever want to. So many gay men have women's backs because women had our backs at younger years. And I mentioned that that's a part of why I'm so supportive of women. I do not at all feel negative feelings towards women. And there would be no consequence if I did. There just wouldn't. I could say it and it wouldn't hurt anything. I'd still live the same life. I don't know why anybody feels like anybody has to lie to them for any reason. If I wanted trans women to be in women's bathrooms, I would campaign for that. I would make videos about it. I would make more money doing that. So when they come at me, it's like, what exactly do you think you have or you think that you run that I would have to lie to you in order to get what? None of you are paying me. And really, when it comes to Tish and the way that she reacted, when people have judgments about the way she says things or the fact that she's willing to be reasonable and try to come to some sort of decision or conclusion with trans people, really, they have a lot of nerve critiquing her at all, because what she did is what a lot of you won't do that you're talking about in the comments. And I mean the comments of these various, not in my comments usually, but in the comments of these various X posts, the artist formerly known as Twitter. A lot of you down there, I would actually do this. And then in the next sentence, you'll be like, I was once in a bathroom with a trans woman, but I didn't want to say anything because I was in fear. No, Tish said something. She didn't talk after the fact about how she would have said something. She said something. She spoke up. She said it out loud. She actually made a scene of it. So you're going to judge her for her approach in doing something or the way she handles something after doing something that you didn't have the balls to do throughout your whole life. But now you've got all the answers. You couldn't do it yourself, but now that you feel like you have a mouthpiece, you're going to tell her what she needs to say and how she needs to say it. Well, who the f*** are you? Who the f*** are you? Oh yeah, you're the anonymous lady with a cat picture on Twitter. You're that revolutionary. I forgot who I was dealing with, because that's the other thing. A lot of you ain't been nowhere, and it shows. And I know that's incorrect English. I know it's improper grammar. It's the way I talk. I'm from Arizona. A lot of you ain't been nowhere. I hate to break it to you, but it's what it is. So you're talking like you've had all this interaction. There aren't any trans people in your hamlet. You don't have any trans people in your town. But they're taking over our spaces. No, they're taking over their spaces in other cities, in other places that you don't live, places you're not coming in contact with. You just want to feel like you're part of the war. I'm letting them have it. I'm letting them know men aren't going to take over my spaces. You don't shit outside your house. But you're going to tell a person like me, who's lived everywhere, been all over the fucking world at this point, you're going to tell me the way it works. Makes a lot of sense. And that's the way I feel about it. Let me know what you guys feel down below in the comments. You want to see a video of me talking about something that's probably a lot lighter than this, click the video on your screen. Other than that, as always, thank you for watching. This has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.